Guys, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's Summer and today we're doing a book review. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, of course, and turn on those post notifications because that notifies you guys whenever I post new content. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So today I will be talking about the awaited book, not this one. Finally doing a book review on this book here, Last Girl Ghosted by Liza Unger. I don't know if it's Unger or Unger. If you guys follow me on Instagram, Yoram X Summer, then you will see that I already did a miniature version of my book review, shortened version. But today I'm going to really get into it. It might actually not be that long because I don't have much to say on this book. I don't remember what rating I gave it. I'll put it on the screen, of course, but I might rate it something different. Today I'm going to rate this book a 7 out of 10. I was actually meaning to get this review out a while ago because I've been finished with this book. I attempted to refilm this video about 3 times, which is kind of crazy. Things that have just not been lining up right. And the first time I recorded this, I just did not like how it looked and how I sounded and the things that I said. It wasn't very coherent, so had to refilm it a couple of times. My reasoning for giving this book a 7 out of 10 is because it was very lackluster. I thought it was going to be more thriller based, just super exciting. I thought I would be able to just read this in a short time span and boom, I will be on to the next book. The back of the book, I'm reading it right now of people's reviews and they're talking about it's chilling, brilliant, and compelling, staggering, unsettling, vivid, and intense. I didn't get any of that while reading this book. It was lackluster, yes, lackluster to the T. In the beginning, it was decent. I could kind of tell in the beginning that it was going to be a little boring, but I couldn't tell 100%. I thought it would pick up the pace quite a bit and it wasn't like on my toes like I thought it would be. I feel like the plot was done a disservice. I feel like it was just going to be amazing, and then it wasn't. My favorite part of this book was more so towards the end, which is crazy. I always find the books that I don't necessarily like, I end up liking the ending, and that's about it. The middle and the beginning are not really good, you know? There was no climax or anything, but the end is not top tier, but the end is pretty good. Because the beginning and the middle, I feel like are supposed to be. So my favorite part was towards the end where she visited her father in I almost said the hospital. You know what? Before I finish my sentence, I just want to say now that it's been a couple of months, I feel that it's giving me more time to just collect my thoughts on this book. Because when I first filmed the book review today, it was like a couple of days after I finished it. And you guys obviously aren't going to see that because I scrapped the whole thing. And it just wasn't sounding how I wanted it to. Now that it's been a couple of months later, I feel like I can really say or vocalize more what I was trying to say and just kind of really, think about things a bit more. I think he had PTSD. He had been in the army and he had PTSD, I believe, where some type of disorder killed his wife and his only son. And she was her along with him. Was obviously in prison. She visited him after all the what went on in this book. She visited him and to close this chapter and heal because she had been running from her feelings and that trauma, that traumatic experience. I feel like the experience that she was having was the direct effect of her being unhealed. The decisions she was making, especially towards this guy, the decisions she made when it came to this guy really revealed her unhealed wounds because she was really just, I don't know, she was being very delusional. Not even kind of, she was delusional, and she had me reading this, I was like, I can be a delusion about some stuff, but the stuff that she was being delusional about was just like, it was just like, girl, you're not okay. So she visited him at the end of the story, and it almost made me cry. It almost made me tear up because it was I felt like I was her. I feel like I was her in the story. I can't relate 100% to her personality and everything. I can't relate 100% to the character, but I don't know. I just kind of like when I'm reading books, it's like I'm the main character, you know? So I kind of latch onto the main character and their personality traits and stuff. It's like, it's not mine. I'll be nothing like them, but it's like those are my personality traits in that moment because I'm the main character, you know? And so her visiting her dad and closing that wound, it kind of left her renewed. It really made me kind of want to cry. And that's crazy because I said that in it was another book I said I hated, but I liked the ending and I almost cried. I think it was the Song of Achilles. Well, it's been a couple months since I read this book, but I'm going to try to give you a rundown of everything. So the main character is child, I don't even remember her name, which is kind of crazy, but it's been a couple of months and the book again I said was uneventful. I know everyone's name but hers. She actually went by two names. She had her original name that she, was born with. She changed it to, I'm trying to find it. I don't remember what name she changed it to, but the reason she ended up changing her name to that specific name was because gonna go to foster care because her dad, he killed her mom, so she didn't have a mom, and then he was going to prison, for pretty much life. So she wasn't gonna have a legal guardian, so she didn't have to, but the people were in her town really looked after her. And so they made her change her name to this girl that had died in their neighborhood's name. So she kind of took on her identity so she wouldn't have to go to foster care and go through that whole process. And now thinking about it, I'm talking about when I just finished the book, but she would have been really traumatized, extra traumatized going into the foster care system. She kind of had a new life. This story is really crazy. Story could have been just so good. And I thought it was gonna be so good. And when I read it, I was bored. Anne lived in Brooklyn, New York with her friend. And her friend Jax and her mom kind of took her in because, again, she doesn't have a mom. Dad's a murderer. And brother's dead. And, I think I did say it. I don't remember which book review it is. Said the way she's speaking about her mom and her brother, or like her whole family, it makes it seem like they're dead. And I was like, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that they're not dead, but they are dead. You know what? Jax is the reason why this happened. But she kind of had a revelation at the end, so maybe she needed to have this little crazy encounter. But I mean, she almost died. But her friend Jax told her to get on, not Tinder, but it's like Tinder. She told her to get on there and meet someone new. Like, you need to do, because she was going out with people and trying to find someone. So she was like, you do. She didn't want to. That's the thing. She didn't want to. And she shouldn't have, but she didn't want to, but she eventually did. She met up with this guy named Adam. And on his profile, before she even met him, she said it really drew her to him, profile and the things that he was talking about. So she met him and they hit it off. Immediately, they just started seeing each other a lot. She didn't know a whole bunch about him. She thought she knew a whole bunch about him, but she didn't. I don't know. She was just feeling the vibes or something. But she didn't know where exactly he worked. She knew what he told her he did for a living, which ended up being a lie, but she didn't meet his friends, she didn't meet nobody. They've been together for, I believe, 3 months, and they were seeing each other a lot, going on dates. All of a sudden, he disappeared. Things were moving too fast for my liking. They were moving too. He had her in a chokehold, and they weren't even together for that long. And she didn't know that much about him, but they were supposed to meet the next day after she told him. After she was vulnerable with him that night, the next day they were supposed to meet for like lunch or dinner, and he didn't show up, and she never heard from him again. She actually did end up hearing from him again, but not. So a detective one day was trying to get in contact with. He actually did get in contact with her. His name is Bailey Kirk, and that is going to be her. Well, that is her love interest, but I didn't really see it for them. I didn't really see it for them that he wasn't given love interest. He didn't seem like he liked her too much. She also was still she was in love with Adam, the stalker, not stalker. What should I call him? The weirdo, the weirdo. She was in love with him, and they'd been together for 3 months, not that long, and she was in love with him. But yeah, so she couldn't really develop any feelings for Kirk throughout this whole process of investigating and stuff. She opened her heart up to him in the end. Not a lot. There were some other girls he was involved Adam was involved with. They had one missing. And she was like, no, that's not him. That's not him. Mind you, they haven't been together for that long. Like, girl, you do not know him. The whole time I'm like, girl, you do not know him. You don't. I was laughing, but bored at the same time, yes. He was a stalker and he was weird, like, and she was missing him and stuff. I'm just like, girl, how can you miss that? He's stalking you and he ghosted you. And now he's involved with missing women. Like, what? And Bailey he put a tracker on her car, which is, I don't know. Long story short, the crazy weirdo messaged her telling her to come to this cabin and be with him forever. Not really be with him forever, but that's what it was giving. And not to bring his cell phone, not to let anyone know. Just a whole bunch of gibberish and riffraff, essentially. And she fell for it because she missed him and she loved him. The cabin was way deep, deep down in the woods. She went there, y'all. She brought a gun with her, but she kept it like in the console of the car. And she thought she was smart. I don't know what she was doing. She was chilling and vibing for a little minute. And then she got scared. She got scared. She was like, hold on. I was just trying to figure out what was going on because like you willingly went there. He said, come be here without a phone, without internet, yada yada yada, and got scared when he didn't want her to leave. It's not like she could get away anyway because he was bigger than her, taller than her. And then he's a man, like come on now. So she couldn't have got away, but the gun, he found that gun, y'all. They fell asleep. She woke up and started searching for that gun for some reason. I don't know where she put it. I think she brought it in and oh, she had it on her or something. And she got up out of her sleep and he was still sleeping. He was faking sleep. He was fake sleeping. I knew he was. I could not take this serious. I could not take her serious. She almost died, y'all. Nobody knew where she was. And he was finna kill her. Like if she tried, cause she was trying to leave. Like you should have stuck to your agreement if you're gonna go down there in the woods where nobody even knows. Shouldn't have went down there in the first place. Shouldn't have went down there in the first place. And it turns out he did kill those other girls. He was finna bury her too. He made a grave. I don't know, they fought or something and she blacked out or something of the sorts. And in that time frame, he built a grave for her. He was gonna bury her alive or something. Apparently, y'all, the crazy thing about it is when she was younger, he lived in that same neighborhood. Although he lived in that same area and knew, um, it was just like, how did you know that was her? How do you know that was her? He ended up killing him, obviously, because if she wouldn't have killed him, he would have killed her. And the end. Well, not really the end. She ended up getting pregnant by him, y'all. He died, but she ended up getting pregnant by before the delusion wore off. She was still in love with him. She ended up keeping the child. I won't say what I want to say about that, but it wasn't as suspenseful as I thought it would be. I thought I would be like looking away and then looking back, looking away, and I was looking the whole time. It was a bit humorous. Not intentionally. Like I laugh at I love how I told all that and now I'm like, I didn't like the story. I didn't like the story. Could have been way better. The plot wasn't plotting as much as I thought it would. I thought it was just going to be so good. If I were to write this story, I feel like I will write it better. And maybe I shouldn't say that. That probably sounds like mean. But I used to write stories, you guys. I love writing. I used to write books all the time. I used to write books all the time. Maybe I should start back writing books because no one's the books these days aren't given. The books these days aren't given. So maybe I should pick up my pen and get me some paper, okay? I loved writing stories when I was younger. I would write song lyrics, I would write stories, I would draw the whole 9 yards. Not so much anymore though. I don't think I would read it again. If I were to read it again, I would read the ending part where she visited her dad in prison and they kind of like not reconnected but closed up that wound. That's what I would reread if I wanted to reread this book. But I don't think I would reread it in like years. So on to It Starts With Us with Colleen Hoover. I'm pretty much done with this. I said a couple of choice words about this. Now that I'm closer to the end, I will say I like the ending. Like it's really tying together at the end, but it's still not as eventful as I would have liked. Lackluster, both of them are lackluster. Especially this one is especially lackluster compared to the first, but I will get into that in the actual book review. I have maybe one chapter left, and I like how the ending is ending. But yeah, you guys will see that book review. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys like this book review. I feel like this is shorter than usual, but I don't have a whole bunch to say because again, I didn't 100% love this book. I didn't love it at all, actually. I feel like I keep having misses and no hits. I don't know what type of book genre I love. I can't tell. I can't tell at all. But yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, of course. And comment down below any books that you guys have read that you've enjoyed because I need more book recommendations because the books aren't booking. The authors aren't authoring and the books aren't booking. I know some of you probably don't read books, but y'all need to start because I book recommendations. So y'all need to start reading. Pick up a book today. I'll see you guys in my next video. Annyeong Saijin. I love you guys. God loves you.